everyone, Larry Sorensen here, and today I'm going to connect with Dan Williams to find out what makes him an automathlete that's not done yet. But before we get started, as always, remember, if you enjoy the content we provide, please like, subscribe, and ding that bell for notifications. Okay, let's get this thing fired up. Dan, why don't you, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you kick us off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, thanks, Larry. First, I'm the proud dad of four beautiful daughters and just blessed with those girls in my life. And I'm native Washingtonian, uh, born in Bethesda, Maryland. So, quasi native Washingtonian. And so I grew up in this area, went to St. John's High School. I was destined for St. John's. My dad went to St. John's, so I had no choice. It's military high school. And, from there, I went out to the University of Maryland for about a year and change. And I was not ready for that college campus after 8 years of parochial school, 4 years of military high school. And so I found myself in the U.S. Army and spending some time in a year plus in Vietnam and did my tour of duty and finished up in Germany. So that's kind of like the earlier days of the Dan Williams story, if you will. So as we speak, I'm 74, soon to turn 75 in July of this year. That's important because I'll be bumped into another age group as a master's competitive athlete. So I'll be now the baby in the 75 to 79 group. I'm 5'9" and shrinking. 185 ish. And yeah, so this is some basics.
All right, let's take a quick journey back in time. And why don't you fill us in a little bit on your fitness history?
It took me to my senior year of high school to get really into running. And I was in a cross country intramural race actually when I was a junior at St. John's. And I went out like a bolt of lightning and came in not like a bolt of lightning. And I came in last actually in that intramural race. Just had no sense of pacing or timing. But the cross country and track coach came up to me afterwards and said, "I'd like to have you on our cross country team next year." I said, "You got to be kidding. I just came in last." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "But you were out there so far in front. I didn't even think you were going to be able to walk in." So that started, Larry, my passion for running in that quest. And from there, now we're talking about the Frank Shorter gold medal days in the Olympics and Bill Rogers. So I got into long distance running and was able to get 3 marathons completed: Richmond, Baltimore, and my last marathon was the Marine Corps marathon. So I went through that era of long distance running and thoroughly enjoyed it, and was really kind of in the middle of all of that, all of that trend back in the day.
Have you done any other activities or sports besides the running?
Pretty much just running. Yeah, and of course in high school I did a lot of splinters from sitting on the bench and basketball and some other sports, but it was running that was really my niche.
So you mentioned a couple of names there. Do you have any specific people or coaches or anything that inspired you in your fitness journey along the way back in those days?
Yeah, certainly Bill Rogers, Boston Bill, as they say, and Frank Shorter. I mean, they were, they were my heroes. Prefontaine, who, we lost way too early from University of Oregon, and that whole Nike crowd that grew up around that, Northwest Pacific area.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's more. I just can't recall them off the top, but there was a number of. I was able to in those days, and I still guess you could still do this. I remember being in the Cherry Blossom 10 miler, and it's an out and back course. So I could actually see Bill Rogers coming back towards me. Of course, I was probably at mile 6 and he was coming back towards the finish line. But
Mhm.
I'd say Boston Billy was probably my favorite.
Tell us a little bit about what happened in 2012 and what transitioned you into a master's athlete.
After my last marathon, which is Marine Corps marathon, I think it was, I don't know, maybe I was 32 at the time. And that was my personal record. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually learned from the first two. And after that, Larry, as I say it in 2 words, life happened.
Mhm.
A career, marriage, raising a family, stress, slipping back into old habits, leaving and just abandoning in a way, but not intentionally, my passion for running and all that it brought to me. And life just started to take over in my 30s, 40s, and 50s. Now I did probably run, occasionally, but I really didn't have the passion or the desire or the commitment that I did up until 2012.
And what happened in 2012?
In December of 2012, December 1st, as a matter of fact, I went into the VA hospital in DC for a stent procedure. And I went in, Larry, as thinking I was going to be an outpatient. And turns out I became an inpatient because during that stent procedure, I had pneumonia going in. I just had that as a underlying condition. I was on blood thinners. And during the course of that stent procedure, I had multiple heart attacks to the point where the cardiologist literally, I know obviously this was shared with me later because I'm unconscious, called up to the head surgeon of the cardiac unit and said, "You got to come down here. We've got major problems." And so, as I was relayed the story, I was ballooned up. My heart was ballooned up that night to keep me alive, and underwent a 9-hour operation the following day, of which they lost me twice on the table. And they had a hard time closing me up. They closed me up and patched me up, but didn't sew me up, if you will, because of the blood thinners, and I couldn't stop bleeding internally. So I was in an induced coma for 5 days.
Let's transition a little bit from 2012. What happened and what direction did you take with your health and fitness?
That may have been my bottom, but it really wasn't. What happened is I was obviously recovering for a certain amount of time. I got back to work right away. I just wanted to get back into the action, but I really wasn't physically the same. And it took probably about 9 months to really get, as they say, Humpty Dumpty put back together again. I mean, although outwardly I was physically okay, internally it was a very traumatic event that the body experienced. So it took probably 9 months to a year. And then what happened, Larry, was I started to slip back into my old habits. You thought that what I just described would have been the bottom, but I started to, stresses of work, family, life. And what happened was one night at the dinner table with my wife, her nickname is Angel Karen. And Angel Karen and I were having dinner. We were traveling in Florida. And I was, you know it when you know it. And I was feeling bloated. I knew I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And literally a voice came to me as I pushed away from the dinner table. And it said, "Danny, what are you doing? I mean, you're in extra innings. You've been gifted with this second act and you're squandering it and you're not going to make it this time." And that, Larry, was my bottom. And that's when I made the decision to reignite with my passion of running and to really give it a very intentional effort so that I wouldn't squander that gift that was so freely given to me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your personal best achievements?
I picked up a magazine article and it shared something about the Master Senior Olympics, which I'm in local, obviously, that area. And so I said, okay, Maryland Senior Olympics, that sounds exciting. And so I went out and competed. I trained a little bit. I had no coach, I had no teammates. I'm on my own. I've got at that time, a 67-year-old body and a 16-year-old spirit, right? And I think you know what happens next. I did run the 100 meters the first day, Saturday, and I took the bronze medal. And I went, hey, this is pretty cool. I like this. The second day was the 400 meters. And I literally went out and it was as a knife had been inserted into my back thigh and came up, cramped up, got injured, couldn't even walk, or, like, how in these movies they have, you somebody struggling to the finish line.
Yeah.
I couldn't even do that movie script. It was so bad. So I learned from that lesson and a couple more that I did need some coach and accountability. And I came across a team, local area in Virginia, with a coach, Coach Harris. The name of the team is Individual Training Specialist. I got under the guidance of Coach Harris and my teammates and really started to understand what it took to become a master's athlete. And under the guidance of that coach and the ITS team, I was able to qualify as, in the top 25 in the United States. I took the gold medal later on in Maryland Senior Olympics in the 100 meters, the 200 meters, the 50 meters. So I was able to travel to Albuquerque for the National Senior Games and was privileged to be on a 4x100 gold medalist team there. Traveled to Florida for the Senior Games. We were national champions in the 4x200. So, number of accomplishments, but the number one accomplishment was really being able to understand my body and what I could do and not worry about personal best as much as just staying healthy because I did have a number of injuries.
Mhm.
Uh, Too many to go through in this interview, but one of them was in Albuquerque when, because of the altitude and the heat, I was running an open 200 meters and I collapsed over the finish line. I did have an official finish and broke my ribs. My legs started to feel like rubber about the last five meters. So, number of injuries. Some of them could have been prevented. Some of them just the nature of what we do as masters athletes.
Now, at this point, what are you training for? Do you have any pending events or meets coming up?
I do. We've already had our first indoor meet, 2024. I'm going to be doing a couple more here locally. Cleveland has got a meet in July, and that's an international meet. So we're going to Karen and I are going to be heading out to Cleveland, and that'll be my first international meet per se inside the country. And we'll also be able to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? It's a
Mhm.
bonus. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. I think I'll be 75 at that time. So I'll be
Yeah.
in hopefully in the next age group. And then the signature event, being a veteran, and I did run in this, and I did mention this before. Um, I did run in the Veteran Golden Age Games, which is veterans only, 55 and over. And in my first participation in the Golden Age Games, and we were in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. And I did take the gold in the 100 meters across the country, and I took the silver. Um, Lost by 300ths of a second in the 50 and took the silver in the 200 meters. So my signature event, Larry, coming up is in August of this year, representing the veterans.
Mhm.
And it'll be in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I am training right now for to get back to the 400 meters.
So, speaking of training, tell us what is your training regimen? How do you get ready for these races?
We have track practice on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And during that practice routine, Coach Harris has us under a structure, individual training specialists, where we do warm ups, we do a set of drills, very much into technique and igniting the nervous system so that we can prevent injuries and just getting ready. Then we have an individual workout based on where we are at, and that's the power and beauty and the brilliance of Coach Harris because we now train individually. And so that is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I recover on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Also, during the Veteran Golden Age Games, I participated in Iowa, and I'll be participating in Utah swimming. So I do some cross training and swimming as well.
Tell us a little bit about your approach to diet and nutrition.
It's gotten better. Fortunately, when you're in shape, um, the body is a lot smarter than my willpower or lack of willpower. So, you start to crave the things that you naturally want. But, I typically I start with a couple bananas in the morning and bowl of cereal. I've learned that I need to eat an interval so I don't eat too little or too much for the race, and that's all just a matter of experience. I mean, my kryptonite, is that it? Superman's kryptonite is Malamar chocolate cookies. Got a little marshmallow, you know, a cookie at the bottom, dark chocolate, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, those things are screaming for me. So that's my that's my go-to in terms of snacks. But I try, Karen fixes an awesome salad, and so we try to have salad, at least 3, 4 times a week, salmon. But I try to stay on course, and most of that is because my body craves what is good for me and doesn't crave the sweets as much as it used to.
What keeps you motivated at age 74, going on 75, to keep doing this?
Well, the short answer is just to be full of gratitude for the fact that I'm still in the game and to not go back to where I was at and just savoring the fact that I have been given the opportunity that I have. So that keeps me motivated. Certainly to want to be in the lives of my daughters and live a quality life, at my age and to be able to travel and to enjoy life. So I have a lot of motivation to stay healthy and do what I can do within my limits in order to be here on Earth and fulfill my mission as long as I can.
So what would you have done differently if you could go back in time, in regards to your athletic career?
Word balance comes into mind, right? I would have, um, instead of letting life take over and the stresses of life take over after my marathon days in the late 20s, I would have incorporated fitness into an everyday regimen and just been more balanced with it.
So not only are you an athlete, a track and field athlete and a swimmer, but you are also an author. So tell us a little bit about this book that you've authored.
21 Fitness Principles, subtitle to inspire your new heart for life. And the American Heart Association did write up a story back in the earlier days when I was running about my heart situation that I described. And then, my recovery into masters athletes and some of my accomplishments. So, New Heart for Life became the brand. So, during the COVID period, I was as all of us went through changes. All of us had to rethink our lives. And I just did not want to slip back during COVID. And I wanted to keep motivated. So I went out and did videotaping I was going to do originally a fitness tip of the day, right? So I was going to have 30 days and videotape that. So I had the script written. And I got to about the fifth day. I said, this is really way too difficult. I'm not a videographer, but I did have the script written and I took it down to 21 days. And instead of being a fitness tip of the day, I decided to keep it simple and just have principles because I wanted Larry to show that, yes, I went through the principles. There's 21 of them. They're one word. First, decide, accountability, teammates, coach, recovery, a lot of what we've talked about. I related that to my track background and the lessons that I've learned and some that I've shared during our talk here. But I wanted those principles also to be applicable to anybody who had a bottom and a path for them to get from that bottom and stay active and not get to the point where I got to. So 21 Fitness Principles is the book, and it just shares my experiences, but more importantly, allows people to apply those principles in their day-to-day lives.
Tell us, where can we find you on your social media links and pages?
Yeah, so newheartforlife.com is the webpage, and that could be either the number 4 or FOR. I have a great time on TikTok dancing around and having fun and during warm-ups. So Dan_Newhart for life. Instagram, Dan_Newhart for life. I've got a Facebook fan page, which is the New Heart for Life community. And then, of course, what's happened recently in terms of this journey, which is principle number 21 journey. And that is I've come across just something that I could not have predicted, and that is the New Heart for Life community.
Okay. Well, Dan, I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. I want to give you the floor for some final thoughts, and I'd really like you to tell us all about this New Heart for Life. So why don't you go ahead and really fill us in on what this is all about and how we can get involved?
Newheartforlife.com. I mean, certainly I've got the book is there. If you go there, you can subscribe to the book. It's a complimentary. Just sign up for that. And that's out there for the taking. And you can apply that in your own lives. So that's a tangible benefit of getting connected and something where I can just inspire others to live a fit and active life. The New Heart for Life community is something that has just launched in October. And I'm now attracting through this story and the video of this story that was done There's a short documentary and a 60-second trailer. And this is really exciting. And this is a lesson, Larry, I think for all of us, especially myself, is that if you just continue to follow your passion, if you do what's inside of you that you naturally are gifted with, and that's your purpose in life, you can't predict where it will lead. And where it has led me is to, on LinkedIn, I'm now got a ambassadorship that I'm attracting college students throughout the world. And we have over, at this point in time, after a short 4 or 5 months, over 600 applications for ambassadors to share this new Heart for Life story. And of those 500 plus applications, I now have on board 50 ambassadors today. And they range anywhere from South Africa to Portugal to colleges throughout the United States. And these ambassadors, these young adults, are inspired by the New Heart for Life story and want to share it and help others. And so that is just an exciting endeavor that I have to pinch myself every day that I can wake up, meet with on Zoom potential applicants for the New Heart for Life community, and have these young adults share this story that they've been inspired with, so that in their own lives and in their families' lives and the lives that they love of their loved ones, that they can hopefully prevent my story from happening through applying the 21 fitness principles.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Dan Williams, definitely an Autumn athlete that's not done yet. Please check out all his social media links in the description below. And remember, keep moving, set goals, and train hard to achieve them. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.